Hi, and welcome to these series of short videos where I'm going to go through the following. Yeah, that didn't really feel dramatic enough. You need some boom sounds in there. I haven't got them right now, but just imagine those as you're watching the title. Okay, so you get the idea. Sorry, just being a bit silly. In fact, that's a silly way to sort of do it as well. You can see I've got individual layers for each one. Um, but yeah, let's have a look at simple ways to very quickly just create a title. So you've got a video clip, you want a title to run over it. How can we sort of do that? Well, you'll see that you've got a range of different views that you can sort of select on here. I say views, workspaces. So they're designed to work around what you're trying to do. So you'll see you've got one for color correction and grading, which will kind of add additional windows that weren't there original panels, should I say, that weren't there originally, and sort of move all the others around. We're usually in the editing window. I keep calling it window, sorry, workspace. If we go to graphics, you'll find what will happen is, again, it will shift. And what it will do is it will take you to this graphics panel, which has a whole range of pre-animated graphics that you can pretty much just drag and drop onto your video clip. I say they're sort of pre-animated, you can't really see them there. So if we just drag and drop one into there, okay, and play that, that one's probably a bad one to select given that it's sort of up there, but in the white, but you can kind of see it. So it's got an animation on there that begins right at the very start, and then it's just sort of text. So if you want to, then you can just sort of stretch that along as much as you need. Okay, so you still get the same animation, and then it just stays on there. Okay, I don't know if it's got any kind of animation at the end. Let's just double check. Yep, so it has that little sort of animation away there, and regardless of whatever you set the time to, that will still remain. Okay, so it'll just stay on the screen and then animate away. So you can very quickly just add the animation and then adjust the timing to suit you. Okay, so let's go back to browse. So yeah, like I said, you can kind of check them out there. Sometimes they don't seem to animate fully on, within that. And so sometimes I find I have to drop it onto my timeline. So that's one way to do it. You can see there's a, and the other thing as well is actually, let's take this one. So yeah, so this one has a little bar underneath it, which is great. That works out a lot better, because it makes it perhaps more readable on a white background, for example. The problem might be that I don't like the color. So the blue doesn't really go with the scene that I have here. So when you do select this, you'll see that you'll see that you actually get a range of properties. Okay, you've got some here on the left, but we've also got some here towards the right. So we can change certain things. So we've got a shape layer, we've got the text layer. Those are basically the two elements that make that up. And you can see the properties that pop up for that. So you can change the color of the text and so on. And if I click on the shape, there is the color of the shape. And you can see it's actually got a gradient, which is what the checkerboard is about. It's letting you know that it's fading across. Okay. And so I could, let's see, select that and I can change the color of any one of those gradients. Let's have a look. Do I have to say that? Oops. Let's not add another one of those. I've just added another one. So let's go back, click that, and let's just make it warmer. Okay, I've added a third point. Can I just delete that point? Okay, great. There we go. And I'm going to go to the other side and do the same. Maybe add a bit more of a yellowy point or something like that. This might be a really weird color, but I just wanted to demonstrate that. There we go. Oh, it's worked out okay. Yep, so that we can sort of change that as such. Okay, so you'll find that we pretty much all, let's get rid of that, all of the stuff that you can see here in the graphics section. Okay, if you find something that works for you, you can take it and just adjust the colors or the size or the font to suit your style, which is why I'd say that they kind of just give you one sort of set in a range of these in a style rather than sort of saying having the same thing in different colors or so on. It's like that's up to you. You can, it's just giving you the default sort of animation. You can then go in and tweak it however you want. Okay, so you can change its color and so on. All right, so that's one quick way to be able to add a graphic. We can just literally drag and drop one. Another way let's just jump back to our editing view. All right, we're in our edit view. Is just to go here onto our tools panel, and you can see we've got a type tool, and we can just point over the screen and just type, and just click sorry and type our title. Okay, just going to type in video title. Okay, and go back to my pointer. Now that is tiny, so that's a bit problematic, but we can go in and fix that. So there's a couple of ways. I could just click the title, and if I go to my effect controls here, I will have some properties now that relate to the graphic, okay, because I've selected the graphic. If I go into my graphics panel, I should also, hopefully, let's see if we can see any additional properties here based on that. So if I go to edit, and select that. Oh, I do have the option to resize it there, makes it a little bit easier. No, so okay, so in the essential graphics, that's weird, video title, there we go. Sorry, I just need to do that, don't need to then select it. So let's have a look if I can just adjust it there. So I can just do it like that as well. So, and again, that was just the default that it sort of came with. I can obviously adjust that. The other thing to bear in mind is that, well, the white background, sorry, I was going to say, I was just trying to think then, what was I going to sort of mention about? You generally want high contrast in order to make text readable. So in other words, high contrast is just sort of big differences between the color of the text and the background. So here we've got light on a darker background and it works fine. Once you get onto a lighter background, it starts to become more difficult to read. Not impossible, but just a little bit more. I should add, you know, that doesn't mean you have to make the text black. You could just click the video. So just like audio, just like we had properties for the text, when we sort of were able to select the text, we can click the video and we can see properties for video in the effect controls on the left as well. And so an easy one usually to do is just to grab the opacity, for example, and perhaps drop that on a title screen. Just by doing that, you make the text stand out a lot more. So that's a really easy way to sort of be able to do that. So just consider that when you are placing a title in a scene, is it readable? Now this has a little bit of a drop shadow, so you might think you can add drop shadow. You also have the option to add stroke, which is a border around the entire title. What I would say with that is it's something you usually see on subtitles, not titles. So let's just add a stroke for a second. So when I click that, by the way, I get an option here to select a color. Okay, let's just see that. So it's not too drastic in this case, given that we already have a drop shadow, but let's just make it a little bit bigger so that it sort of perhaps stands out a bit more. Let's make it a little bit more. There you go. That's kind of typically what you'd see. And you can see, it like I said, it sort of generally works here. And that would mean regardless of whatever the background is, you've got basically white text on black, right? And so it'll always be readable. But what I find is, like I said, it starts to look a little bit more like a subtitle. Subtitles aren't designed with the video in mind, right? They're designed completely separately. They're based on timings of what's said when. So, you know, there's no real information when a subtitle is designed as to what's going on in the video. They're not looking at the video and saying, oh, does it match? So for that reason, the subtitles always take on this kind of look because they'll always work regardless what's in the background. So I do find that all of a sudden you have a title that takes on a look of a subtitle. So personally, I find they work better without strokes. Okay, but have a feel free to sort of play around with some of these settings if you haven't before. It's worth trying out to see what you've actually got the ability to change. You can see actually we can align as well. So if I want to make sure it's dead center, we can align horizontally and vertically using these buttons. Okay, so a lot of times that's all we sort of really want. All right, and we can do that there. So yeah, there's, like I said, a whole bunch of properties to do with that as well. Feel free to sort of tweak some of these and see what goes on. That's the drop shadow settings, by the way. Okay, the angle at which the drop shadow appears, so we can kind of adjust that. Okay, to make the drop shadow appear at the top. So wherever this point goes, it'll sort of, you know, that's where the drop shadow will appear. So like I said, we can, and then we can change just how much, whether we want to make that drop shadow a little bit more transparent. Okay, so you can really tweak how this sort of looks. Feel free to give that a go. And yep, best of luck.